genesis of genetics. One example of how a modern science was influenced by, and may even be actively led by demonic spirits, is genetics. Have you ever wondered where genetics comes from? Especially as it applies to creating hybrids of humans or animals. Is this technology created by man? Is it even new? The answer is no. But if man did not invent genetics, more to the point, the manipulation of genetics, genetic sciences, then who did and why? The answers are simple. Genetic manipulation was started by the fallen angels to corrupt and to destroy mankind. It all began in Genesis in the Bible. Let's take a look at these first geneticists and the repercussions of their hybrid creations. About 4,500 years ago, the world was completely destroyed, and every living thing on it was killed. It was the flood, and only one family made it out alive. We know that God flooded the earth because of the horrible amount of sin on the earth, but I believe that there was another reason that everything had to be completely wiped out. There was a genetic corruption that had twisted God's creation, and it was done by the first geneticists. It started when fallen angels came and took human wives. The children born of this vile union were the Nephilim, the giants of old. They were a corrupt and evil form of life. Of course, these giants would in turn take wives, and on until the corruption spread. Eventually, the corruption would progress until you had entire generations of people corrupted genetically. Even if it would have been only a few genes in a progeny, any of this corruption means that the person was completely corrupted. The biblical information is in Genesis 6. Genesis 6:2. Then the sons of God saw the daughters of men that they were beautiful, and they took wives for themselves, all of whom they choose. The sons of God, or B'nai Elohim, is the name for a sect of angels, one of which Satan is, that frequent the area of earth, i.e. fallen angels. They are also spoken of in Job 1:6, and again mentioned in the New Testament in Jude, which speaks of certain angels who left their first estate and, like Sodom, went after strange flesh. Genesis 6:3. And the Lord said, My spirit shall not strive with man forever, because he is indeed flesh. Yet his days shall be 120 years. And Genesis 6:4. There were giants, the Nephilim, on the earth in those days, and afterward, when the sons of God came in to the daughters of men, and they bore them children. These were the mighty men who were of old, men of renown. Genesis 6:9. This is the genealogy of Noah. Noah was a just man, perfect in his generations, and Noah walked with God. The word perfect, tamim, means in Hebrew complete, whole, entire, sound, healthful, wholesome, unimpaired, innocent, having integrity. What is complete or entirely in accord with the truth. All of these definitions coming from the Blue Letter Bible. In Genesis 6:11, the Bible says the earth was also corrupt before God, and the earth was filled with violence. The word corrupt, shakath, to destroy, to corrupt, to ruin, to decay. Also nifal, to be marred, spoiled, to be corrupted, injured, ruined, or rotted. Nifal being the word that you get Nephilim from. Philal, to spoil, to ruin, to pervert, corrupt, to deal corruptly, morally. And hyphil, also, to spoil, to ruin, and destroy, to pervert, corrupt morally, destroyer, spoiled and ruined. These were the events preceding the first destruction of Earth. You will notice when this sect of angels called the sons of God, which were fallen angels, somehow had children with human women, and hybrids were born to them, which are half human, half fallen angel. They were giants, and these hybrids mixed with the human population, taking their own human wives, who would bear them children also. The genetic corruption spread. The next generation would be half Nephilim, men and women, who would also take wives and husbands, leading to second, third, and fourth generation Nephilim, and so on. Now there are many different views on the next verse, Genesis 6:3, but my view is that God, seemingly in response to the birth of these hybrids, reduced the lifespan of man to 120 years. Before this, people could live up to 1,000 years, so it seems to me that God might have been moving to keep the genetic corruption from spreading as fast by reducing the lifespan of all men. The next verse makes a point to show Noah's genealogy and states that he was perfect in his generations. In other words, he was not infected by the Nephilim genetics, and he also walked with God. The next verse that I list states that the corruption did eventually spread to everyone, or more of these types of genetic manipulations occurred, and the whole earth was corrupted. I think these verses refer to how everyone alive had been genetically corrupted by the Nephilim at one point or another in their genealogy. Thus, the earth was filled with evil and violence. It's important to remember that the Nephilim were not human, and any, no matter how slight, in a person's genetics would make that person not human, but a transhuman, the spawn of evil. It is possible also that the animals had been corrupted somehow, which may be where we get the legends of chimeras and such. They could be definitely rooted in reality, just as the legends of the giants are. So, God took a man who was not corrupted genetically, saved him, his family, and two of each of the animals, and annihilated everything else on earth. From Noah, the entire human race was restarted, without the corruption of the Nephilim. But somehow, more Nephilim were made after the flood. How this was done, no one knows, but it is possible that another group of fallen angels, by that same method, or by a more subtle method of genetic manipulation, did it. But the fact is that more were created. Again, in time, the Nephilim spread in the regions that we know today as Palestine. But God, after freeing Israel from Egypt, sent them into the promised land where the giants were residing, to claim the land and to wipe out the giants. Later, King David and his men wiped out the last of the known Nephilim in that area, beginning with Goliath and his brothers. But one way or another, the giants have reappeared throughout history all over the world. You can find information about these hybrid beings in nearly every culture, from ancient Israel and Greece to the Mayans, all the way down to the modern American Indians and their star people. Most speak of how these beings were either from other planets or the spirit world. They're always described as hybrid of human alien, human god, but what they actually are is a hybrid of human and fallen angel. There was a great deal of evidence of these beings throughout history. Some were even recorded by historians to be on display in museums, but the information has disappeared, not only because of time, but there is an active attempt by someone or something to get rid of any evidence of the giants. The fact remains, whatever hybrids may be on the earth today, whatever geneticists or genetic science, the Nephilim were the first hybrids, and the fallen angels were the first geneticists. In the dark days preceding the flood, it was a post-human era on Earth, and it was an abomination to God. Is it any surprise then that the transhumanists of our day are looking for a post-human era? It is possible that the ones who did this in the first place continue to refine their methods of genetic manipulation of humans, whether out of necessity to create something in particular, some certain kind of hybrid using something more akin to what we know today as genetic manipulation. It should be no surprise then that this is exactly what the supposed aliens and UFOs are doing today. Many alien abductees have reported while on the supposed alien ships seeing genetic experiments and half-alien, half-human hybrids. There have even been reports from people who claim that they are hybrids themselves. Many of them call themselves star children. If the aliens are fallen angels, as I believe they are, then they are making Nephilim, but now they're doing it in a way that is not producing giants, but hybrids that look like, or at least very close to any other human. Maybe that was the intended goal from the beginning, and it's a frightening thought. So, the fallen ones were the first to manipulate the human genome, and were the first to make transhuman hybrids, and it continues today on Earth through modern science. Modern scientists have either stumbled upon or been led to this corrupt science by the fallen ones who created it. To me, it seems that modern scientists are being used by the same evil beings that have been trying to destroy men from the beginning. Because the science is being used for the very thing that the fallen intended it to be used for, to corrupt the genetic of man, and to make transhuman hybrids. Modern geneticists are working towards the same goals that the fallen angels did, to bring about a post-human world. And it's going to happen, because the Bible says, as in the days of Noah, so will the end of the world be in the coming of Jesus. And once again, God will destroy the whole earth, but this time it will be with fire, and it will be for good. It's not hard to see where genetic sciences will go. After all, if the root of the tree is corrupt, then the whole tree is corrupt, along with its twisted fruit. Even if none of the fallen angel stuff was true, God went to a lot of trouble to completely restart the human race through Noah. Everyone alive today is descended from him, and it is an evil thing to corrupt what God has made through things like genetic manipulation. When it comes down to it, all of this is actually an alien invasion, meant to destroy humanity, doing the same that they have been doing since the beginning, but today also using deceived humans to help them achieve their ends, the same ends that they've had since the beginning. Which means that geneticists and scientists are betrayers of their own race and they don't even know it. They're only manufacturing their own doom, helping spiritual forces of darkness to destroy mankind. And that's exactly what happens when men are deceived away from the truth, and exactly why deceptions like evolution have been perpetrated on the human race. After all, men who don't know they were created by God are easily manipulated by the very forces that want to destroy mankind. Don't you see that there's no way the vast number of scientists would be working on making transhuman abominations, or any of the horrors that they're working on, if the whole world didn't believe in the lie of evolution? Think of it. Without evolution, there would have been no Hitler, no humanism, no transhumanism, and no New World Order. Consider this. If you were part of an alien race, not human, but intelligent and evil, and you wanted to destroy mankind, how would you do it? You'd lie to them. Make sure people don't know that you exist by keeping them focused on anything other than you. Then get the majority of that's done and you have control, you reveal yourself and destroy everybody else too. It's not hard to imagine, but it does remind me a lot of a movie that was popular in the 80s. It was a very cheesy movie, but it was disturbingly profound. It was called They Live. You hear it everywhere. Talk of a post-human era. They say it will be the next stage in human evolution, and that's what they hope it will be. No one disagrees with the fact that this post-human era, this singularity, is coming. Sadly, men just don't know what it really is. But the transhumanists' agenda and the singularity does not end with genetics. The fact is, genetics is only the beginning.